let's get into it. Just going to go over the pre-market game plan for tomorrow, a little bit of a market update, what's going on, and so on. So tomorrow we're treating it like a Friday because on actual Friday is Good Friday and the market is closed, which I'm pretty happy about. Definitely need this 3-day weekend. So coming into today, we've been reading the market very, very well. Analysis, thesis has been spot on, and I was bullish bias coming into today. Now, why was I bullish bias coming into today? Well, you can see here we pretty much had a daily double bottom this week, defending 631.55. We reclaimed, right, 652.20 here. We reclaimed that on the weekly. What does that mean? We're back at the bottom of the range in the channel that we just broke out of. We're above the previous day high here, and we ended up gapping up today. So you can clearly see a nice little V-shaped recovery here on the overall market. So I was bullish bias coming into today. Lately, really hasn't been much on the tech names. Really been focusing on the indices themselves, such as SPY and Qs, which has been treating us very well. I've only taken one trade this week on a tech name to the downside, which was Amazon. I think that was on Tuesday. So nevertheless, just really focusing on the indices themselves. So when you see here, the game plan coming into today, as for SPY, right? Let's see if we can hold 652.20. If we do, we can see a move higher. And as you can see here, that played out beautifully. We ended up getting the break and retest here during the pre-market. So we ended up focusing and taking our shot on Qs. But you can see here, if we hold, we can see a move higher. We got the break, got the retest here pre-market, and we saw that move higher back into the top of our key level here on SPY. So going into tomorrow, the only two key levels that I'm really looking to take a trade off here on SPY is 652.20, or if we stay strong, a break and retest over 661.80, maybe even a short off of that. Really depends. You got to read the price action. But this is really going to be the key line in the sand tomorrow. Why? Because we got the breakout here today on the daily, so we still need to retest this level. So you could definitely look for this, right? We're at the bottom of the range here. We're at the bottom of the range, or a break and retest under this. I love the confluence because it's a gap fill play and we'll be under the previous day low, and we're getting back under our weekly level. So 652.20 is the key line in the sand going into tomorrow here on SPY. Now, last time SPY was here, this is how I treated SPY, being very conservative. This is a no trade zone for obvious reasons. You can just look left and, we're sitting sideways, sitting in a channel. So the only two key levels going into tomorrow is 661.80, 652.20. Right? That's it. That's all. Very simple. Less is more. So once again, really looking for this pull back long off of 652.20. Right? Support, turn into resistance, and then turn that back into support. We're reclaiming the bottom of the range here. You can see V-shaped recovery setting up, or a break and retest under this. If we get back under this, we're bearish bias, we're moving lower, we're under the previous day low. It's a gap fill play to the downside. A lot of confluences here. So main key level tomorrow on SPY is going to be 652.20. Of course, if we open up in between 661 and 652, it's a no trade zone. I'm hands off. There's going to be no trades for me there on SPY. Qs, same thing. Qs is pretty much sitting back, and it's no trade zone. Same thing here on Qs. We had this daily double bottom here, as you can see, kind of a V-shaped recovery. Now, today was very interesting on Qs. This was very important on Qs because coming into today, or really from the weekly outlook, we needed to retest 587.85. We needed to turn this channel. Remember, we were stuck in a channel here, in a range here, into resistance. Let's go on the weekly. Remember, the break and retest happens on every single time frame. So that's not a coincidence that we waked right off of this on the dot and sellers stepped in. So you can see we're still intact here to the downside on Qs. We ended up having a big breakout displacement candle last week. What did we just do today? Retested that break and retest off of our weekly 587.85. So that was very, very important. So who knows, right? Maybe we'll see some downside. We won't know until we know. But on a technical standpoint, I mean, look at this on the daily. That's a beautiful wick on the dot right off our key level. That was the break and retest here on Qs. So you can see today we were bullish bias, right? We gapped above, we're sitting above the previous day high. You got the break and retest off of 580.110. Now it's a beautiful push all the way up into our key level here. So like I said, that's why I've really been focusing on the indices themselves, because they've actually been, really good all this entire week. I mean, it's only Wednesday, 3 days into the week, but SPY and Qs have been playing out very, very well, getting continuation, getting follow through. I mean, look at the last 3 days. This is Wednesday, this is Tuesday, this is Monday, right? We're having some big, price range movement here on these names. So can't complain about that. That's exactly what we want to see. So that being said, on the higher time frame, as long as we are still under 587.85, we're still bearish bias. This was very important today. This was a good thing. This was a really good thing. We retested the key level, right? We were stuck in a range since November. We broke the range. What did we just do? Turn it into resistance. That's beautiful. So going into tomorrow, a couple of things you want to see here is, right, a break and retest under 581.10. Why, Kel? Why are we looking for that? Because we're under 587.85. We're still bearish bias. So that being said, I don't really care to play a pullback long off of this. If I want to go long, it'd be over 587.85. Why? We're entering, getting back in at the bottom of the range, right? we're over the previous day high, and it's a weekly level. So if you really want to go long here tomorrow, it's going to be over 587.85. That's the higher probability shot anyway. It's not an inside bar day. You're over the previous day high. That's a dot anyway. Other than that, it's going to be this or, right, a pop and fade off of 587.85. As long as we're under this, we're still bearish bias. Pop and fade off of that. Why? Because if we, pop up to the previous day high, we sweep those orders and close back under, right? Sellers are typically going to push that back down towards the previous day low, targeting that unmitigated liquidity. So break and retest under 581.10 on the Qs, pop and fade off of 587.85. And then, of course, if we want to go long, a break and retest over 587.85. Very simple here. If it's an inside bar day, it's hands off. There's nothing here for us on Qs. Tesla, another, right? This was a big thing here on Tesla as well, right? This ended up, playing out. We just could not catch it. It happened way later in the session. We go here on Tesla, right? The game plan today was a pullback short or long off our key level. I did not specify that key level, but it was off of 382.80. Now, why is that? Well, let's look at last week. What did we do last week? We broke it. Break, retest. Very simple here. I mean, you can see Tesla clearly in a downtrend. There's no doubt about it. The same is clearly in a downtrend. So what do we do today on the dot? We pulled in the 383, our key level. 382.80, and then we had that sell off, as you can see here, all the way back down. So that was a great shot there on Tesla. Was not able to catch that just due to that happening later into the session. So Tesla, same thing here. As long as Tesla is under 382.80, we're bearish bias. I'm only looking for shorts. As long as we're under 382, we are bearish bias. Like I just showed you, we're clearly in a downtrend. Now, if we reclaim 382.80, right now we can look for longs here. If we reclaim 382.80. Under 382.80, bearish bias. So fairly simple here tomorrow on Tesla. It's either going to be a pop and fade off at 382.80, which is what we were looking for today, or it's going to be a break and retest above, which is also over the previous day high. We're reclaiming the bottom of the range, and it's off at weekly level, which is those are great confluences. Remember, confluences equals higher probability. So that's what we're looking for here on Tesla. Of course, right, you're going to have to be able to read the overall market, right? Is there divergence? Is it in sync with the market? You got to be able to do that prior to taking your trade. But nevertheless, the key line in the sand is going to be 382.80. What do? Pull back short, or a break and retest over it for a long. Either way, just be prepared to really focus on this 382.80. If you go short, you can target the previous day low, and then we do have a gap here as well on Tesla. We do have a gap here, so that's just something to keep in mind. But 382.80 is going to be the key line in the sand. As for me, nothing here on NVIDIA. Nothing here for me on NVIDIA. NVIDIA is a no trade zone for me. Less is more. This is a low probability environment. We're stuck in a range in between 195 and 170. So what does that mean? No trades for me. You can't lose a trade if you don't take a trade. This is a low probability environment. This is a very nice trend to the upside. This is a nice trend to the downside. This is consolidation. Know the pros and cons to your system. What are the cons to the break and retest channels and consolidations? So funny enough, as I always say, history repeats itself, right? I told the Discord this for the weekly outlook. Don't be surprised if we see this. And what do you know? We saw this week, right? Why? Because we already had a peak and fell. What happens when we fail a key level and reclaim it? We fuel that move higher. Why? Because now this was just a nice little bull trap. A nice bear trap, getting squeezed out of their positions for a loss. And what does that do? Fuels that move higher. So we've already done it before. All we got to do is look left. If we, reclaim this and we made all-time highs, why can't we do that here? Right? History repeats itself. So, you got this nice little bull flag set up on the weekly time frame, a lot of built up liquidity. Who knows? We may get this blow off top here on NVIDIA. So we're still holding structure here. Buyers are still defending 170 very, very strong. That is why we trade the break and retest. Key word there, retest, because the retest equals confirmation. That tells us if the move was real or not. The move was not real. We got the breakout last week. We pulled back. Sellers did not step in to push this thing lower. We reclaimed that. And you can see here, we actually pulled back pretty low, around 160, not 160, but we pulled back pretty decently here. And then look at us now, we're already at 178, which is crazy. So it was just a good old bear trap, liquidity grab, whatever you want to call it. So nothing for me here on NVIDIA. I'm being very patient, conservative, letting my trades come to me. So it's either going to be this break and retest under 170, or it's going to be a break and retest outside of the range here over 192, 195. This, hands off, nothing for me there. As for the side watches, Amazon, nothing here on Amazon. You can see here on the weekly, still pretty much sitting sideways. Let's go here on the daily sitting in our no trade zone. You can clearly see 212 is a very strong level of resistance. There's no doubt. All you got to do is look left. Today, look at that on the dot. Clear level of resistance. You can see the bottom of the range, 206, clear level of support. We're ranging. That's all we're doing. So what is this? A no trade zone. This is a low probability environment. I'm letting my trade come to me. So it's either going to be a long over 212.80 or a short under 206.40. One or the other. We ended up taking the short, yesterday under 206.40. Great shot to the downside. Other than that, hands off here on Amazon. Let's go here on the 15-minute. And you can see just a lot of built up liquidity. You had a peak and fail today. Peak and fail, we got to 213. I'm around that to 60, so we got to 213.60, and then sellers instantly stepped in and pushed this thing back down. So where are we sitting? Right in the middle of our no trade zone. So fairly simple here on Amazon. If you're looking for a trade on this, you're looking for a long over 212.80 or a short under 206.40. Other than that, I'm hands off here on this name. Apple, dude, Apple. This thing, man, 255.55 is such a strong level. There's so much built up liquidity here. I'm not going to be surprised if Apple just gives us a blow off top and we just don't get a retest. I'm not going to be surprised. All you got to do, I mean, this level, this is yesterday's previous day high. Today, right, we push into it, sellers step in. We had a peak and fail this day. Sellers step in here. You can see sellers keep stepping in here. Sellers step in here. This is a very strong resistance level. Apple is having a very tough time with 255. But what does that mean? That means when this thing's break, it's going to break. Apple, no trade zone. It's just been sitting in between 255 and 248. Low probability environment. There's no trade there. So going into tomorrow, what are we looking for here on Apple if or when it sets up? Break and retest over 255.55. Right? Looking for a long over this. I want to see this channel turn into support. If we just sit in between 255 and 248, fairly simple there. There's no trade for me. Microsoft clearly in a downtrend here. There's no doubt about that. You can see Microsoft's clearly in a downtrend. So what am I looking for here on Microsoft? This actually should be red. We need to retest this on the higher time frame. Fairly simple here on Microsoft. Break and retest under 367.25 or a pullback short off of 381. For those who like to trade off the previous day highs, you can definitely look to play a trade off the previous day high target in 381 because you're playing the pullback, but I'd rather be patient and wait for the higher time frame set up here. So it's going to be 381, 367.25. What I do like about shorts on Microsoft, if it sets up tomorrow, is we're also under the previous day low. So that's a great confluence there, which means price is likely to continue lower. So pullback short or break and retest under 367.25 here on Microsoft. Fairly simple. Man, I was looking for this too. We ended up breaking this range here on Friday. We actually gapped down. So you can see Palantir, just no trade zone, stuck in a range between 161, 148. That's fine. We ended up gapping down. We got that break on Friday. What was I looking for today? I was looking for the retest, right? Break and retest off of 148.05. So let's see, this is Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday, yeah, Friday. You can see Friday, we actually broke outside of this range. We gapped down. Remember, this is what I mean when I say patient pace. You're playing the break and retest. But if we're playing on the higher time frame, it may take 1, 2, 3, or 4 days to wait for that retest. Patient pace. Unfortunately, right at market open, ended up just getting that. This happened way later into the session, but we got the retest. And you can see we got that flush back down into the lows. Fairly simple here. I think this was even, yeah, this was even on the, on my close watch list today. Break and retest under 148.05. We got that range break last Friday, finally getting the retest today. If we don't hold, if we hold this, I don't mind going long since it's at the bottom of the range. And you can see we ended up getting that retest, right? Break and retest here on Palantir. So unfortunate there. So what are you looking for tomorrow? Well, I'm most likely going to be hands off on Palantir tomorrow, even if it sets up. I've been staying away from 0DTEs just to give my trades time to play out. Like I always say, you're automatically at a disadvantage when you take a trade with a 0 DTE. Don't let anyone tell you differently. So, right, you can scale accordingly, right? Size in accordingly if you trade with a 0. There's no right or wrong way to trade, but just remember, you do not have time on your side. That's a fact. So, tomorrow on Palantir, really the same game plan as today. Pop and fade off of this. For those who trade off of PDLs and PDHs, you can definitely look for that, targeting at the bottom of the range. But you can look for the pop and fade off of 148.05. If we reclaim this, you're getting in at the bottom of the range. You're over the previous day high. That's a good shot too, right? That's a really good shot too. So your key level is just going to be 148. You're either going to get the pop and fade or a break and retest above it, or you just won't get a trade near it at all. We do have red folder news tomorrow, so who knows? We can gap up or down pre-market, but your key line in the sand is going to be 148.05. And then AMD, same thing here as NVIDIA. No trade for me here on AMD. This is my no trade zone. I'll actually go to the weekly. Low probability environment. This is the price action I want. This is the price action I want. This is all we're doing. We're ranging in between 225 and 187. Less is more, right? If you want those high win percentages, if you want the confidence of you feel like every trade you take is going to be a winner, it's focusing on high probability setups. Less is more. If you be getting chopped up in here in NVIDIA, on AMD, that's why. When you look at this on the weekly, look at that. Every single week, every candle has been an inside bar week. Every day has pretty much been an inside bar day, or we gap up or we gap down. But other than that, there's nothing here on AMD. It's a low probability environment. So what am I going to do? I'm going to let my trade come to me. Break and retest over 225, break and retest under 187.25. If we're stuck in here, hands off. And all you got to do is look at it yourself. Look at the last, 3 trading weeks? Just pure choppiness on the weekly time frame. We want this. Look how clean this looks. right? We want this. Look how clean that looks. So less is more. Understand the conditions. Let our trades come to us, and just sit on your hands. Don't force anything tomorrow. It's been a really good week thus far. Tomorrow, like I said, is basically a Friday. Market is closed on Good Friday. So main focuses for me, like I said, has been the indices themselves, such as SPY and Qs. Can't go wrong with that. Like I just went through every tech name. You can see there's really not much going on most of the tech names. They're sitting in ranges. They're sitting in channels. So I've just been focusing on the SPY and the Qs. So what do we do here tomorrow on SPY? Do we pull back and hold 252.20, or do we get a break and retest under that, fill in the gap to the downside? This is going to be your key line in the sand, 252.20 on SPY. And then Qs, today we got that retest. We got that retest off of 587.85, which is solid. Breaking retest on the weekly. So this will look really, really good. Rejection here, getting that continuation lower, 581. Gap fill play, we ended up gapping up today. This looks really good. So 581.10 is definitely going to be the line in the sand for me tomorrow on Qs. You can't go wrong with this. Right? I'm trying to simplify it the best I can for you guys. It's either going to be that or that. Like I said, we're bearish bias under 587.85, so I don't care to look for a pullback long off of this. So fairly simple here. If you approach 581, only looking for shorts. I don't care if we hold this. I don't care for a pullback long off of this because we're in a downtrend. We're bearish bias. But you're definitely open to longs here. I'm definitely open to longs here if we get over 587.85. I will see you guys on the